The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dog or Pass podcast. This for UFC Tampa. JEDRZEJCZYK versus WATERSON. Me and Cody Saftic here breaking down this card. And the funny thing about it, Cody, is we literally just got the DraftKings pricing. We record this in advance, so people in the comment section are like, what do you mean? The DraftKings pricing has been out for days. And when they're walking on Saturday, it's just like, we're recording this on a Wednesday. So literally all day you're like, is this main event happening? Is it not? Sounds like WATERSON probably got like a little like manager specials deal type of thing. By, you know, probably getting a little bit. They're expecting Joanna to miss weight at this point.
Well,
but
Joanna
the fight
says
is still on, and she's going to try to make the weight. But, like, she's not going to make the weight. You reach out to the UFC a week ago and say, I'm not going to make the weight. Like, it ain't happening. But, you know, she probably makes a good penny, and she's going to make some decent money off of JEDRZEJCZYK. That takes her away from bonuses and stuff, too. So
yeah, why not just show up and miss weight by 2 pounds? What, is she going to say no to her headlining fight?
She's going to come. She's going to miss by, like, more. She's already said no. Like, she's gonna come in at, like, 125 or something.
No, not 125. I would assume she
Maybe
called the UFC to say 120.
Yeah.
120. Oh, geez. You know what? It's going to be really tough to make 115. Which it was always tough to make 15. Even without the fakies on you, it was tough to make 115. And now you're 32 years old, it's even tougher. I completely understand that part of it. So she probably calls UFC, says, can I get a catch weight at 120? They ask WATERSON. WATERSON going into this fight knows she's fighting a bigger fighter. But at the same point, why are you going to float her 5 pounds over 20%? Biggest fight of her career, and that if she wins this, she's probably locked up for a title fight. So why mess around? 5 pounds is 5 pounds. It makes a difference. Also, is she going to outstrike Joanna for 5 rounds? I think she could outstrike Joanna for periods.
Yeah, let's get into that fight in a second. I just wanted to, right off the top, just kind of lay out to people that, like, you know, we're recording immediately after, like, the news just dropped. But before we get to that, we have a little bit of giveaway, a little bit of housekeeping here. So last week's winner is Capt Fun Pants. So Captain Fun Pants. It's not spelled that way. CAPTFUNPANTS. Congratulations. You are the winner of DK Bucks. If you want to be like Captain Fun Pants, I'm going to call him that. What you got to do, give the episode a like. Leave your DK handle. And number 3, our boy Big Vince gave me an idea. How many pounds is Mackenzie Dern going to miss by? Like, we're already dealing with weight cut issues for JEDRZEJCZYK. We're dealing with Dern, who usually doesn't make straw weight as it is, coming off of having a kid, like it seems like 6 months ago. I'm pretty shaky on whether she's going to miss weight, but I imagine RIBAS is pretty ready for her to miss weight. So
I don't know.
I would say she's probably going to come in around like 119. That would be my guess. And I would leave my DK handle, and I would give the episode a like, and then I would be in the draw for, you know, for the DK Bucks this week.
Yeah, I would think when they said, we'll move you, as in Karate Hottie, we'll move Michelle WATERSON to a pay-per-view down the road against Jessica Andrade in a number 1 contender fight, if we can find Joanna and JEDRZEJCZYK an opponent. Well, who would fight Joanna and JEDRZEJCZYK at 120 pounds? Could be Mackenzie Dern. The MMA side of it doesn't make any sense, but at least she's a BJJ world champion who poses some type of style. I would imagine the idea was at least floated, and she was just like, I'm not feeling that. I'm going to fight Amanda Ribas instead. But yeah, going to this fight, we might as well try to break down Angela Hill versus Michelle WATERSON as well, because we don't really know fully what's going to happen.
JEDRZEJCZYK actually got steamed, like, during today, basically, because of obviously the news. So she was up around minus 400. Now she's minus 300, plus 250 on WATERSON, 9,200 on DraftKings, 7,000 for WATERSON. I was tempted to bet WATERSON, just numbers alone type of thing. The dilemma that you come across on DraftKings is JEDRZEJCZYK 5-round fight. Like, she can just,
this is where she typically
can just load up. If it was a 3-round fight, 9,200, I have no interest in playing her, but over 5 rounds, she can put up those types of significant strikes. If she's just, I imagine WATERSON's going to come in, probably try to at least mix in takedowns, some grappling, see if she can kind of get her down there. I don't know if she was going to be able to anyway. For like plus 300, plus 400, we're not going to get those numbers anymore. I was willing to wager on it, but the question becomes: do you play JEDRZEJCZYK on DraftKings? And it's hard to poke holes in her with, like, historically, if she wins a 5-round decision, she's scoring 120, 130 points many times.
Yeah, against fighters that are not exactly the most defensively sound. Like, she can put up those kind of numbers against Valerie Letourneau or Jessica Penne, but like Michelle Waterson's a lot more elusive. She'd be harder to put up those kind of numbers against. Do I think she wins a pure striking battle against Michelle Waterson? Absolutely. You know me and Joanna. I'm sold on her. I think she's probably... You can no longer say she's the best striker in the division, but she's obviously an elite striker. I still think she's got something left in the tank. But here's my biggest concern, Paul. And you know I hate saying this because she's my baby. A fighter's prime, I did the research on this a few times just to make sure, but a fighter's prime tends to happen in the UFC between 28 and 31. If you go check out like the average age of a top 15 fighter, falls in that category, and it makes sense. Kind of like an athletic prime for most people. I would assume maybe not in football.
It falls
but
off
like in
even
hockey
more.
and baseball, I bet you 28 to 31 would be considered somebody's athletic.
Falls off even more in the lighter weight classes too.
Now, when you look at Joanna Jędrzejczyk at 30 years old, the last time maybe she looked really good was against Jessica Andrade. She beats Jessica Andrade, and since then, she gets knocked out by Rose Namajunas. She blames it on the weight cut, bad weight cut. Second fight versus Rose, it goes 5 rounds. It's 2-2 going into the 5th. Rose fully puts the foot on the pedal and wins that 5th round, wins the fight. Then she fights Tecia Torres in a 3-rounder. Doesn't look great against Tecia Torres, man. It's Tecia. Not everybody looks exceptionally good against her. Lately, people have started to. And then Valentina Shevchenko, you can't look good in that fight. She doesn't look good in that fight. Now to drop down back to 115, chasing those glory years, like, this is the concern, is that by my own account, by my own definition, she's over the hill. She's past her prime. And whereas Karate Hotty's actually...
She was your baby.
I know. Whereas Karate Hotty's actually 33 years old. She's a year older than Joanna. She doesn't seem to be past the prime. She doesn't have the same mileage. Joanna was getting dropped in Muay Thai fights prior to ever even coming over to MMA. In MMA fights, she has taken a decent amount of damage, and it's racking up. The way she trains, she's always going hard in the gym. She's always getting hard rounds in. This is the way she lives her lifestyle. So the concern there is that at 400, you're not playing it. 300, it's a much better price tag. But if I'm Team Waterson, I'm saying the exact same thing. If she comes in at 120, we're seriously handicapped. But she's fully admitted she can't make 120. So we're going to get her to make as close to 120, and as she's dying to make the weight. Do I think Waterson beats Joanna Jędrzejczyk in a kickboxing match? No. But with MMA gloves on and you're compromised by a bad weight cut, it's the same thing with James Vick's fight.
Also,
just
that
James
extra
Vick,
weight
we'll get to it.
on the other side, on the flip side, though, that extra weight could help you, Jędrzejczyk, if Michelle Waterson's game plan was, let's go try to wrestle. It's just 5 rounds wrestling. You're going to get more tired trying to carry around extra weight. Somebody's got an innate advantage over you in terms of weight.
Well, Helwani reported this morning that Jędrzejczyk had a workout with her team and felt great and is going to try to get as close to the weight. You know why she felt great? Because she's not on fucking weight. That's why. If she was on weight, she wouldn't have had a great workout this morning.
She never looked good at weigh-ins.
No, she didn't. And now that you put the extra years on, and I always talk about remember when McGregor moved up to 55, lost, people would be like, oh, it just go back to 45. It's like, you don't understand. He's lived the champ's lifestyle. He's gotten a little bit older. You can't just make the weight cuts anymore. They're not the same. There was a time where you were willing, able to grind and try to do whatever necessary, but it's not like that anymore. You don't get up at 5 a.m. and do those miles. It just changes something. So I'm not a huge fan of the price tag. However, so far, we have a perceived Joanna weight advantage. I was going to pick Joanna anyways on the basis of Michelle Waterson is better on the ground. I just don't know how she's going to get the fight to the ground. I mean, better wrestlers have attempted to take Jędrzejczyk down and have had no success. So now we got a striking battle. Again, I do see Waterson winning moments. I do see her hitting Jędrzejczyk, but as far as volume goes, she's more of that karate point style fighter versus
she's going to lose a fight fighting at range. She just gives up too much in reach and length.
She's giving too much. But it's not crazy to think
she
that...
She may be faster on the feet, too. Like, that's why I wanted to bet Waterson, to be perfectly honest. I just thought that the line was set, like, kind of absurd, to be perfectly honest. It was either his dog or pass. Shameless plug. But yeah, I think DraftKings wise.
What was the price? I don't have it.
9,200.
9,200.
Like Jędrzejczyk, if she wins a 5-round decision here, like she's scoring 110. 100. It's 100. It's like a 5-round decision is like a 100-point floor, I think, for her.
Yes, but against the opponent that she was fighting in the past, right? The opponents that she's fighting in the past include Carla Esparza, who ran out, Jessica Penne, who was a punching bag, Valerie Letourneau, who offered up absolutely nothing, Claudia Delia, who gassed out massively, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, Jessica Andrade.
So now she takes on a higher, faster-paced fighter, and she's gonna slow down. What are you talking?
You don't have the numbers there, but what did she score specifically against Tecia Torres? That was only 3.
I can pull it up right now. Tisha Torres, 3 rounds, 61 points.
61 points. So you're going to add another 2 rounds onto that. She maybe gets 80, 90 points, which is what she's
that's a pretty
valued at.
decent floor.
Right, and Tisha is kind of like Michelle Waterson in that she's shorter, she's faster, she stays on the
actively
outside.
runs away, like literally runs away from any.
Do you
want to
stand in front of you and J-check? No, you have to move.
All right, so
I
what's
said my
the
piece.
official CJ Saftic pick here?
I've never done this before, but I would. Nah, I'm gonna bet. Nah, you got to see the weightings. You absolutely have to see the weightings. And then on the
It's true.
DK side of things,
But
that would
you
be
sound like you're
reflective.
leaning towards
A pass, but not a dog play, but a pass. But no, I'm
Okay.
picking in J-check. I mean,
Okay.
I've never gone against her, and this isn't the spot that makes me super worried compared to some of the other ones.
All right, let's move
Well,
on.
I went against her against Shevchenko. That one was obvious, but go on.
Let's move on. We have Kron Gracie taking on Cub Swanson. Kron Gracie, minus 160 favorite. It's 8,700 on DraftKings. Cub Swanson, 7,500 and plus 140 underdog. Feel like we've kind of seen this fight before. It was Brian Ortega, but Brian Ortega probably has a more
He can strike.
refined striking
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
a much more. He's got much more experience.
He seems to be grittier.
So it's interesting, but like Cub finds a way to just engage with these grapplers sometimes, and like I can see Cub absolutely putting on a clinic like he did against Ortega in round 1, and then sometime in round 2 they just get into an exchange up against the cage. Kron rips him to the ground, gets a submission. So 8,700 Kron, you really have to be confident he does it in round 1. I don't see him scoring very much on the feet. Like he's gonna actively be looking to get this to the ground. I'm leaning towards Kron. Like it's a pass from a betting perspective for me. Kron, obviously, if he gets a first round submission, you're gonna need him on a slate. But can Cubs stay out of trouble? Like Kron's wrestling isn't very good. So many questions on this one. My official pick, Kron Gracie. Want to play him on DraftKings, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, Cub Swanson, if he puts together a mighty fine game plan, he has all the tools in the world to beat Kron Gracie, but he's never fought a great game plan. Like, he always makes mental lapses here and there, and then one back take is pretty much all it's going to require here for Kron. Kron, obviously, the rear naked choke is his move. Super versatile in jiu-jitsu in general, but if he does take Cubs back, and you have the feeling that, those guys that they can't quite get you to the ground, like a Ryan Hall, but they might be able to just get you up against the cage. And once they get you up against the cage, they just take your back. Like, he doesn't have to get Cub down. He's just got to get Cub up against the cage long enough to grab something. And when Cub gets submitted, it's like a boy, oh boy, does he get submitted. Going back to his first fight with Frankie Edgar, that neck crank that damn near broke his jaw. It was like, oh, damn, gave up his back, got his back. Didn't quite give up his neck. But just having that grip against Frankie, he submits him. The Max Holloway fight with that guillotine. Remember, he's like, his legs are shaking for dear life trying to get out of that guillotine choke. The Brian Ortega choke. He says afterwards, I thought I was going to die. That's his official fucking quote after the fight. I thought I was going to die. The Renato Moicano fight, rear naked choke. Those guys are all less grapplers than Kron Gracie. Yeah. However, they're better mixed martial artists. We don't know where Kron's chin's at. We don't know where his cardio's at. Well, he fought Kawajiri pretty hard in Japan a few years ago. That was a good indicator. But there's a lot of question marks. All question marks that we're going to give the striking advantage to Cub. We're going to give the cardio advantage to Cub. We're going to give the heart to Cub. We're going to give a lot of advantages to Cub. But that one little X factor where it's like this guy's probably...
His one skill is super dynamic and can finish the fight at any time.
And a lot of people have been like, oh, dude, we've seen world-class jiu-jitsu fighters come over here in the past and lose. And yes, you're right. But like Talis Latis and Damian Mayo and those guys... They're not on the same level as Gary Tonin or Kron Gracie or guys that they don't need much time to set something up and all of a sudden you're up shit's creek. Ryan Hall. Is Ryan Hall a fantastic mixed martial artist? He's built a fantastic way to just make this a jiu-jitsu fight for the most part, or hook, kick, jiu-jitsu. The Kron really just kicks, jiu-jitsu. If he develops the same way, he'll be a problem for guys. An aging Cub Swanson, that's one of those guys he'll be a problem too. I got a bad feeling. So the money line, I'm not really feeling... 160 is not a bad price tag. But it's still just a little tad, maybe too risque. But yeah, that DraftKings, you're going to want him. If he's going to get a first-round submission, I said the same thing against Bruce Lee.
He's actively going to be trying to do exactly what scores the most points.
Yeah.
Takedown and grappling. If he gets top, he gets some passes. You know what I mean? He's going to put on a clinic if he gets down there. He's going to pass. He's going to do whatever he wants. Whether he gets there, though.
Well, if he takes it back, great. If not, if he can even just snag a hold of the neck and work the neck, same thing Ortega did, just chase the neck. By the way, who's going to be giving him advice for this fight? A guy that's been there and done that against Cub. He's got multiple ways there, and I hate this because I've never, other than Dean Lister, I don't like it, but I don't like betting on guard pullers, man. But this is the kind of guy sometimes you're like, motherfucker, pull guard. Because if you do, you're going to be in your wheelhouse. So yeah, I got Crone. I'm a tad bit nervous, sure. Cubs on a 4-fight losing streak, but you can't overlook him. He is Cub Swanson. Does he have one last hurrah? I'm not sure. But we'll go Crone Gracie here.
Moving on down the card, we have Mike. I don't know if this is going to be in this order, but Mike Davis takes on Thomas Gifford. Mike Davis coming in on short notice, filling in for Brock Weaver, who had to pull out this week. No line actually released on this. DraftKings priced them at 8,600 and 7,600 respectively. Mike Davis being the favorite on DraftKings. So we haven't seen an actual betting line yet. Do you have an initial take on this fight? Obviously, it was only booked like a day ago.
Yeah. Brock Weaver shouldn't be in the UFC. I don't think. I mean, two fights ago, within the year, he won a split decision over Crazy Horse. Very bad performance on that Cam Soda card. And I don't know. I'm just
that guy had like some personal issues from the sounds of it. And it sounds like he his head right.
He looks better on the Contender Series. He looked better on the Contender Series. And those guys, it's nice to see them get the contract, but I was thinking I was going to fade his ass.
He literally just talked Dana into getting a contract.
I was going to fade his ass no matter who they set him up against.
Yeah,
only they set him up against Thomas fucking Gifford. So now it's like, okay, now I'm probably going to take Brock Weaver. But the line was like 3-1.
Weaver's not on the. Okay.
He was fucking 3-1 or something ridiculous. If they're thinking he's that big of a favorite over Gifford, then we got a problem. And then when you look at anything with Gifford, we broke him down prior to his fight with Roosevelt Roberts. It's just not there. He's got like 8 years of pro experience on his record, and he's only 27. So he's been fighting pro for a long time. He's had a lot of good fights. He's fought guys like Anthony Martin, Rocco Martin, I should say. Before either guy made it to the UFC. He's got experience. It's just I don't see what he does exceptionally well.
He's a grappler.
He was brought in short notice to fill a spot against Roosevelt Roberts. He did that. He was taken down. He was outstruck. Didn't really pose much of a threat.
Nothing for him.
Right, he lost. The fight prior to that, this is his fight essentially to get into before he gets to the UFC. He wins a split decision over Chris Brown, who was 2-0. And one of those wins was over Rihanna. So you're barely even beating this guy. How are you going to compete in the UFC? But they give him Brock Weaver. Maybe he's got a chance. Now that they're giving him Mike Davis should be a 5-1 favorite. I don't know what the line's going to be, but he's coming off a loss. He lost in his Contender Series fight. Maybe people overlook him a little bit, but like he's got the goods. Not only is he a good striker, he had an awesome fight with Sodiq Youssef on.
Those guys went to war. That was a UFC level fight.
It was a UFC quality fight, and then I'm petitioning for this guy should get a contract as well. Unfortunately, they give him a short notice contract against Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? Now, he actually goes to Tiger Muay Thai, and he does that, like, Tiger Muay Thai tryout for the 2019 season, and there's tons of footage online of him, and he's probably the best guy there, one of the best guys there. He looks in awesome shape. Even though he's short notice, I do believe he'll be prepared for this. Better striker, better wrestler. I think he's better than Gifford all over, so they're going to give you a big fat line. We just haven't seen it yet.
You think it's going to be that fat?
I think it's at least. I think it's at least.
He's better than Brock
Weaver.
I know.
Was going to be 3-1.
I bet you it would be similar to what the Weaver price was.
I bet you it opens. Let's say
it's
it
gonna
opens.
Get steamed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's say it opens at 320 or 350. It'll go to 5 quick.
Yeah. I agree with that. All right, let's move on. We got Mackenzie Dern taking on Amanda Ribas. Mackenzie Dern, 8,300 on DraftKings. Ribas is 7,900, minus 150. Dern, plus 130. Ribas, we got.
So I wouldn't put her on the same level as Crone Gracie, but like it's kind of the same shit. Like she's not a great mixed martial artist, but she gets the fight to the ground. We've seen this every single time. When the fight hits the ground, she just like...
Or she just Vandalay bombs on you like she did to Amanda Bobby Cooper.
Yeah, I was surprised. Cooper talked a lot of shit about the striking, too, and she bombs her with the right hand and puts her down.
It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. And then she just grabs... Once she gets you on the ground, like, all these girls are done.
But you and I talked about this oftentimes.
But she just doesn't have the wrestling to get you to the ground.
It's like the Brian Ortegas or the Ronnie Yayas or those guys, or even Damian Maya. It's like they'll now just swing fucking bombs. What are you going to do? Take them down? You know? They're just trying to close the distance. To get a hold of you. Ribas is actually pretty good on the ground. I mean, after serving her USADA suspension, she clearly put time in the actual gym, comes back, look in her return to the UFC. She's still young. I think she can grapple with women in this division, but she's not a great striker herself. So where's this fight likely going to take?
I think she's faster, more athletic, probably a better striker, but I just don't think it's going to matter. They're going to end up in an exchange, and Dern's going to wrap something up. Like, that's how I see this playing out.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Because Ribas went against Whitmire, showed all that improvement in her wrestling. wrestling game.
Whitmire is a better wrestler than Mackenzie Dern and is not on the same level of grappling, but is a grappler, right? She toasted her, right?
Yeah.
I think even though she's not a good striker, her striking is better than Mackenzie Dern's. I'm going to say her cardio, it looked to me like it checked out pretty okay. Probably better than Mackenzie Dern's. The weight cut goes her way. And then you got to factor all that stuff. Mackenzie's got that one thing, the grappling advantage. But she just had a kid, man. So has she been training? Has she been?
It was already always a question whether she
that's
was
a
training
big,
seriously.
That's a big question mark.
I just think
man.
it's not going to matter again.
No, you know what? I've actually heard some really good takes on it, and a couple of them have just been like when an athletic woman or a woman athlete has a kid in her prime, apparently it doesn't seem to matter. And like Serena Williams, she's a little bit older. She had a kid. It didn't fucking seem to matter, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm expecting this to kind of be the same thing. Now,
Maybe she's more focused now that she's got a kid. Because she didn't seem very focused on her career before she went away. But now that she comes, who knows? I guess another thing that you'll want to watch the weigh-ins this week. Like, there's no point in like just hammering money on it right now.
Yeah.
I don't think we have all the information on this fight.
No, plus remember,
But I am leaning towards Dern just getting
Plus, she
like
was
an armbar
dating-
from guard or something. Just gonna happen.
Yeah,
Because
she was dating Tenquino Mendez from the MMA lab. Then they broke up. Then she ends up getting knocked out by some surfer guy. Then she has a kid. Then she got kicked out of the MMA lab. Like, you never know. If she didn't have the kid, we'd be thinking, where's this girl's head at? Because we always suggest that. But now with the kid, it just makes things a little bit dicey. Minus 150 is a hell of a price tag, but because they're factoring in all the question marks. And then as far as DraftKings goes, like historically, she's a finisher for this weight class. So it's something to keep your eye on.
Moving on.
Oh, news.
Yes.
We've got news.
Pat Mayo on the line.
Live news.
So I've been keeping up on what this Joanna stuff is. She released an Instagram story, and all it says is,
That's on it.
she says, I don't know what's going on here. The weigh-ins are tomorrow, and you're all worried about it. The fight is on. The weigh-ins are on Friday. Keep it calm, guys. All fine, step by step. I'll see you there. But in my research for this, other articles came up that said, Joanna can't make weight because of new breast implants, question mark?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the whole storyline that we've been tiptoeing around, Pat.
Yeah, I'm going to address that. Here's the thing. There's been a lot of people saying, hey, them fakies is the reason she missed weight. What are you talking about, them fakies? If I can squeeze my face in between them, that sounds pretty fucking real to me, Paul. Sounds pretty real to me. So I'm not discounting those. This is my theory on it. She can make 115, 116, doesn't want to make 116. So she calls, hey, can I get a catch weight? The UFC says no. Okay, that's why they didn't say anything. It happened a week ago. She asked for the catch weight. So now she's on her way to making weight. Only it comes out, oh, she asked for a catch weight. Now everybody's panicking. Now she's just like, fuck, I didn't want to have to bust my ass to make the weight. However, we can almost be rest assured that she had bad weight cuts all the time anyways. This is just another bad weight cut.
Yep.
And if you're thinking about fading her, having a bad weight cut's something that goes in your favor. So that's I bet you the fight's going to be.
That's why the line moved. It moved, yeah, like a good 50 points on the underdog there, 100 points on the favorite. We expected this.
You know what?
But like
if you
these
see
people
Joanna
who
get
miss,
dropped,
these
if you
people
see
who-
Joanna get
yeah.
dropped, right, and you're all the thinking of like, oh man, I didn't think Karate Hottie had that kind of power. It could be a bad weight cut. It could be a
People
history
who
of
miss
getting
weight
hit. It could
historically actually win at a higher clip, especially when their opponent plans to
be
grapple.
isn't it
them.
like 56%? Oh, grappling, it makes a big difference. But does anybody think Joanna's going to use the weight for her? Well, maybe to stay upright.
Of course
Yeah,
she is.
yeah,
She needs a win. That girl needs a win bad.
Okay. Well, jumping
Let's-
back to
We got Luis Pena. let's-
Dern. She's got it. Yeah.
Yeah, we like Dern, but we got to see the weigh-ins and stuff. We got Luis Pena taking on Matt FREVOLA. Pena 9,000 on DraftKings. FREVOLA 7,200, minus 170, and a plus 150 respectively. I don't really have much on this one. I basically, Luis Pena always comes in as it's like way too much of a favor for my liking, so I faded him a couple times. Pretty much never right on him. FREVOLA, there's durability, question marks and stuff with him. Both guys coming from decent gyms. Do you have a hot take on this one?
It's going to sound hotter than it probably should be, but yeah, I think Luis Pena gets the job done. I like Luis Pena. I think he's a good developing prospect. He's fucking huge. I don't know why he tried to make 145. That was an ill-advised move, and that's the one time he looked bad. His body shut down. You can completely understand. Despite that, he's just kind of like a work in progress, old Violent Bob Ross. He's only 26 years old, as I mentioned, 6'3", and he's getting better, Paul. He's just doesn't win the Ultimate Fighter. He had to bail out of it. Ends up losing that fight with Mike Trezano. Since then, his win over Steven Peterson and the old veteran Matt Wyman. I feel like he's filling into himself. Because he's that big and he can stay on the outside, he throws nice, sharp, quick punches right down the middle. He's got some power. I like his striking. The question is, can he keep his fights upright for the most part? That's where guys are going to try to take him down, and that's where I feel he's making big improvements. This fight's no different, really. Matt FREVOLA, as you mentioned, maybe some durability issues. We saw in his UFC debut, he got sparked in exactly 1 minute flat against Polo Reyes, and Polo Reyes is just a banger. So if you hit this guy with some clean power, we know we can knock him out. Since then, Lando Venata fucked him up, but wasn't able to put him away. As a result, a draw comes out of it. And then this fight with Jalen Turner's young, man. He's young in the game. He just hasn't really developed that stuff yet. Whereas I think Violent Bob Ross has. He is starting to put that stuff together.
And he's training at one of the world's best
And that's
gyms.
what I was going to get at, okay? If I'm a young, developing fighter, I want to keep my fight standing. I'm a good striker. Again, only 26 years old, good prospect. They liked him on Tough. They like him in the UFC. They're trying to build this guy along. He got a fight with Matt Wyman. Like, what a gift. The guy's got a name and is shot to bits at this point. And he finishes him, too, like Matt Wyman. No joke. Where would I go? Jesus Christ. AKA has the #1 grappler at 155 pounds in the world. And I'm on 155 pounds. I'm going to go work with that guy. Then, who's the #2 grappler at 155 pounds in the world? Maybe
Islam?
Gregor Gillespie. But #3 is motherfucking Islam Makhachev. Yeah. And that's one of his Chiefs training partners is Makhachev. Not so much Khabib, but Makhachev.
Yeah.
And I just feel like he's making the improvements. Now, the flip side to Frevola's just the same, right? But he's got heart. And he's a grinder, and he's out of that tough New York team, and he's the steamroller, and he'll try to push. And he's got tools that if he gets Pena down to the ground, he is a better grappler than him. He is a better wrestler than him. But I think that the size is going to make a difference in allowing Pena to keep the fight standing long enough to torch him with a head kicker straight right down the pipe. Probably knock this guy out. -170, not a bad price tag. DraftKings, I'm looking for guys.
You don't have to worry as much about Pena with just the weight because it's at 155. So 145, you're like, how is this guy even attempting to do this? It just seemed kind of nuts.
And you know what? In his first round at 145, I thought he looked good, but then his body started to shut down on him. And what you got to think here is that now he moves back up to 155. He's 2-0 since the move back up to 55. And he's making those improvements. He's getting better. I could see him getting the finish, so I'll be rostering up on DraftKings.
We got Eric Anders taking on Gerald Meerschaert, 8,500 for Anders, 77 for Meerschaert. -155 favorite is Anders. Meerschaert 135. Meerschaert just all for DraftKings specifically. All of his fights end up being like he's either on the winning lineup or his opponent is on the winning lineup.
Always.
I just don't like athletically. I just don't know how Meerschaert gets like these takedowns and stuff that he does against.
But he does.
Because he's just giving up so much athleticism against Anders in this spot specifically is what I'm saying. But I don't want to roster Anders. He just proved himself to be too untrustworthy, and he doesn't really. He'll like go out there and try to grapple with Meerschaert when it's just like you should probably just stay at distance and bomb on this guy. So. I don't know. Talk me out of like rostering Meerschaert on DraftKings just under the pretense that Anders is going to fight a stupid game plan and fall right into the trap.
This is a hell of a style clash when you consider that Gerald Meerschaert is a guy who just figures out a way to win versus Eric Anders, who's a guy who just figures out a way to lose. You know, you could definitely see a parallel universe where Meerschaert just goes out there, takes him down and submits him, or that Meerschaert catches him with something. But I got to feel that I wouldn't say the size advantage. It's not like Eric Anders is that much bigger. But he just took that short notice fight against Vinicius Moreira at 205. Moreira is huge. Eric Anders didn't look out of place. Coming back down to 185, he's got big power. I feel like that even Moreira is such a bad opponent. It was a confidence booster. And that's all Anders needed. He's got talent. He just got seemingly no confidence in himself. He's just like... He's making himself a punching bag on Twitter by like posting clips of Khalil Roundtree kicking his ass and being like, that sucked. Or like posting something of Thiago Santos dropping him and being like, oh, there's me. It's like, I don't know. I didn't feel like this is a guy that was fully committed to being one of the premier mixed martial artists on the planet. But it seems like he's got a different mindset now. The 3-fight losing streak put him in a bad place. Winning against Moreira, his confidence is going here. Meerschaert comes in and gets stuffed in the takedowns. He needs to strike with Anders. If Anders fights one of those typical dumbass Anders games plan, like he did against Machida, or like he did against Elias Theodorou, where he doesn't let his hands go, he's in trouble. But if he goes after him, He again is another guy.
You can't really take anything from him beating Vincius Moreira.
I take that
Literally a meaningless. Like that guy is next level bum. Arguably the worst guy in the UFC. He's probably been cut since getting first round rear naked choke loss to Paul Craig.
I get it. However, this is what I'm getting at, right? If you were Chuck Liddell down in your confidence, man, I lost 4 fights in a row in the UFC, and you're in a Shoppers Drug Mart, and some guy stepped on you, and you went pa and you knocked his ass out. You think Chuck would walk out of there being like, "Yeah, man, I'm done"? No, he'd be out there like, "Fuck yeah, I still got it," and he'd want some. Eric Anders, I got the feeling he was down on himself. He took the fight with Moreira, short notice, up a weight class, knocked him out. Yeah, you're right.
Anybody can bomb on that fool.
Anybody can bomb on that fool. But I don't think Eric Anders realizes that. I think Eric Anders took away, you know what? I can still do this. You know what? I'm still a good athlete who's in the prime of my career. I can get going. I just got to keep at it. And that's all he really needs. I think he gets the win.
He has
you know
all
what?
the
He's
physical
minus
advantages.
155. You never get a great price tag on this guy except for when he goes on his bad run. I feel like 55 is not bad at all. And it's just a reflection of he hasn't been fighting great, and Meerschaert's punching up above his weight right now. He's doing good, but I think he gets the job done. As far as DK goes, I think Eric Anders could put him away. And like you said, the winning lineup typically either has Meerschaert or goes against Meerschaert. I'm going against Meerschaert, so I think Eric Anders on DK wouldn't be that bad either.
Yeah, the mid-range here just continues. Like, there's just so much value throughout it. Like the balance lineup here, because next down the card we have Nico Price taking on James Vick. Price is 8,400, Vick 7,800, minus 145 Price. Vick moving up to 170 after just being 6'3", 155 pounds. He always looked like Skeletor on the scales.
Pena, 6'3", 155.
Yeah,
and he tried to make 45.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like that's different body frames though too. Like Pena's just like naturally very, very skinny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Vick moves up. Is it going to help him with his chin? Sometimes it helps certain guys with it. Or you have guys like Luke Rockhold moves up to 205, gets bombed. Because when you go up to there, the guys just naturally have more power. 8,400 Nico Price with James Vick, who is just so chinny. Nico Price, a warrior, super, super durable, and hammer fist people from bottom and knocks them out. I've actually been right on the last couple Nico Price fights. Like I knew that I liked James Neal against him last time, and
Jeff Neal,
or Jeff Neal, sorry, James Neal, NHL player. And then the fight before that, so it's like I've got good mo with Nico Price fights. I think he knocks out James Vick here again.
Yeah, well, see, even if moving up to 170 made that big of a difference in your ability to sustain a punch. They matched you up with a guy who, even though he's not a great striker, has the touch of death. Just needs to touch you. Mm-hmm. In James Vick's case, I don't care what weight class he's at. If he gets touched, he's going to be in some pain. People always talk about rehydrating your brain, moving up the weight class. You can take a better punch. We just talked about Joanna. Maybe her chin's starting to go a little bit because of that bad weight cut. I do believe Vick must have been compromised by the bad weight cut.
Yeah,
but moving up a weight class also now. Inherently, you're going to be fighting bigger
Moving
guys.
up 15 pounds, too.
You're fighting...
It's not a 10-pound weight class, either.
Yeah, you're fighting guys that are just naturally bigger. Nico Price has had no problems knocking out big, tall guys who have good chins in the past.
And he's only got knocked out by Jeff Neal and Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Like, guys with just, like, ridiculous power and would probably also knock out James Vick.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why MMA is... the best, but that's why it's a bitch at the end of the day. Does Gokhan Saki lose to Khalil Roundtree in a kickboxing match? No. So do any and J-Jag lose to Michelle Watterson in a kickboxing match? No. Does James Vick lose to Nico Price in a boxing match? No, he doesn't lose one single fucking round against Nico Price in a boxing match. But in an MMA fight, Nico Price is going to hit him at some point. And when Nico Price put hands on you, it's a problem. And, like, Price is a fucking survivor, man. He's never lost back-to-back fights in the UFC. Yep. So the fact is, he got starched against Al Hassan. They give him Tim Means. Tim Means is a long, rangy striker, likes to stay on the outside. Kind of similar to Vick, although way more versatile than Vick. Vick's more of a boxer. And in the beginning, it's the same thing. Like, he's a better striker than Nico Price. But Nico Price closes the distance, makes it dirty. He knocks out Tim Means. Randy, same thing. Randy Brown. I know it was hammer fist from the bottom, so it was freakish, but like he can deal with size disadvantages. He can deal with all these different things, and eventually he puts hands on you. You got to kill him, or he's coming at you the whole time. And James Vick he doesn't have one-shot power. He doesn't have the power to, I don't think, to get Price off of him. And if Price is not off of him quick, then he's going to put him in some world of pain. I think Price is a DK fucking punt every time he fights, man. Because at least he's got that X factor. But again, he doesn't lose. He has not lost back-to-back fights. He always has a way of rebounding, even coming off a bad loss. And the Jeff Neal fight, it's not as if he went out there and made a mockery of himself. No. That was one hell of a fight. You do the same thing against James Vick. Vick's not going to stand up to it. So, you know, every card, I'm starting to realize every fight always has question marks. How's this chin and this?
There's a reason why these odds are not like minus 1,000 Nico Price. Like, there are paths to victory. You know, there's...
Of course.
James Vick has always a real nasty guillotine. Like, he showed that before. He hasn't done that in a while because he's been taking canvas naps, but...
And I believe Saturday could be a similar canvas snap situation. So Nico Price, listen though, Nico Price, Eric Anders, Luis Pena, these guys all got great shots of getting, in my personal opinion, of getting a good finish. They're all well priced. Like you can make a banger of a lineup, or you can choose to avoid one if you got a hot take in the other direction.
What about Ryan Spann versus Devin Clark? 8,800 Spann, 7,400 Clark, minus 145 Spann, plus 125 Clark.
We'll get through this one really quick because it's a hard pass for me personally. The reason I am definitely going with the hard pass is Joanna's the favorite, and I have her. Krone's the favorite, I have her. Mike Davis is definitely going to be the favorite, and I'm definitely going to have him. Mackenzie Dern, even though I don't love it, I do have her. She's a favorite. Pena, for sure. Anders, for sure. Nico Price, yeah, got it. Devin Clark is the first dog to me that looks good. He uses his wrestling. And listen, the guy's he knows the same thing we know. He doesn't like getting hit, man. He's going to close the distance. He's going to get a hold of Spann. He's going to try to out-wrestle him. He's got the skills to do it. If he puts a proper game plan together, he can definitely win this fight. He's a dog that I like. But now I feel like I'm chasing dogs. Because I've got so many other favorites, I'm like, oh, this is one that I don't love.
How's Spann's gas is not historically great, is it?
It's not great, but he's a fucking good striker, you know? And the problem with...
I mean, this could just be this could be a fight where you just wait until you see what happens round one. Maybe catch Clark round two at probably a supreme price because he'll probably lose round one. You could bet him by decision if you think that Spann looks like he's gassing a little bit. Like, that's kind of my only thing that I've really got on this is... I've earmarked it basically as a potential live bet fight.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think there's some recency bias too when you're going with Devin Clark. Like, he's not big at 205. In fact, he should be fighting at middleweight, but the one time he tried to get knocked out. So he said screw that. They give him a lot of strikers. Jan Blachowicz, Mike Rodriguez, Alexander Rakic, Darko Stosic. They're all, for the most part, they're all strikers. The last fight against Stosic, he wins. He looks awful. If he looks like that, he's going to get knocked out, right? But the difference is that Stosic is like a judo black belt and has really low hips. Taking him down is much more difficult than taking down Ryan Spann, who's a tall, rangy kickboxer. So because I think he'll have this lower base, he'll be able to get under him, he'll be able to take him down. And if he fights him the same way he fought, say, Mike Rodriguez, which is stick to him like glue, grind the whole time, as opposed to staying at range like the Rakic fight, again, he can win this fight. That would be the first dog that I like, as opposed to the other ones. But it's Devin Clark, man. Like, did you trust this guy? Do you trust this guy to go out there and put 15 minutes together for you without getting caught once? Maybe.
Not particularly, no.
Yeah, well, give me a better price tag than 25 we're talking, but, like, that's not even a great dog money. So this is a pass for me.
It'd be a decent DK play, though, if you think he's gonna be able to get those takedowns.
If he gets a takedown and holds him down, he won't score shit, right? Yeah. But if he gets multiple
There's just so many fights on this card, I don't think you have to go to this one.
Fair
but
enough.
Who knows? We got Max Griffin taking on Alex Morono. Max Griffin minus 155. Alex Morono is plus 135, 8,200 and 8,000 respectively. Hot takes here.
I just feel like Griffin, again, he's going to be one of those guys that's longer range or stays at the outside, but he should have his weight. Like, Morono crashes the pocket, but he got no footwork. He mostly just crashes forward. And we've seen with Griffin is that he can play Matador pretty good. I think he's going to have like I don't want to say a little bit of like momentum, so to speak, but he beats Mike Perry, good fight for him. The Thiago Alves fight, he got robbed, flat out robbed in that fight, and then he comes back to beat that Zalim Imadaev. They were high up on that kid. They thought this kid was the world. And Max Griffin has a way of when you underestimate him, like they did in the Perry fight, like they did in the Zalim fight, which I think I had him against Perry, but I had Zalim definitely. You underestimate this guy. He's not bad. He's a tactician. Morono's a black belt. Morono probably has the ground advantage, but like what wrestling is going to get the fight to the ground for him? So he has to rely on crashing the pocket. And I just think he's going to get countered day in, day out. It probably lasts a decision.
Yeah,
I think
I
this one
agree.
goes 15.
I don't-
Griffin wins. 55 is a great price tag, but the DK side of it is like,
It's
I
going
just
to
think
probably
there's
be a
more,
stand-up fight
there's more
with like
appealing options.
not crazy amounts of volume. I think it's a low-scoring fight in general too.
And Morono is going to start out good, but the longer any of his fights goes, once he starts to get tired, he gets really like sluggish and he just swings overhands and his hands are down and like he'll be there to get countered. And that was what will lead, I think, Max Payne Griffin to the decision.
Davison Figueiredo takes on the original GOAT of DraftKings, Tim Elliott. Figueiredo 9,300, Tim Elliott 6,900, minus 190 and plus 165 respectively. Can Tim Elliott get takedowns here?
If he can, this is a great price tag.
6,900 would be very.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can just pay up for all. You can get all of the other balanced guys.
If
Probably
Jared
and
Brooks
load up
can get
top.
takedowns, I'm going to assume Tim Elliott can get takedowns.
I mean, why not? I don't know. Figueiredo's super, super strong, imposing. He's got that look. And, you know, his game is
Bomb you.
shook off takedowns and absolutely bomb you with hooks and overhands. And he's pretty crafty, man. I don't know. The problem with the Elliott is, like, he kind of disappears to Thailand, it seems.
Yeah, that
In
was the
between-
greasy theory.
and
You're
he-
on the greasy theory.
And he
already.
goes out there and
wow.
seemingly parties because,
Wow.
like, every once in a while he'll surface up on Twitter, and it's like the shit that he says, just like this guy's like on some peyote. He's in an opium den or something right now. Like, Tim's just having a good time, and hey, I'm not in the way of telling him what to do with his time. But when I'm betting my money on you, I want to know really kind of how serious you were taking this, because I know Davison Figueiredo is taking it seriously. Another fight I want to see how things go along the week, but I would love to play Elliott. I just don't think he pulls this one off. I think he just eats a whole bunch of shots, and you know, one guy's actively improving a whole bunch. I think we've seen the best of Tim Elliott, so Davison Figueiredo is the pick for me. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Tim Elliott, that day he fought DJ, which was, 3 years ago? That guy, on that day, takes down Davison Figueiredo. At least 2 of those 3 rounds, dominates him, survives one of the 3 rounds, and gets that decision. But they gave him a $100,000 base for that day, and his shit's been going sideways since. I met Tim Elliott in Vegas. He was fucked. And this is before he ever went to Thailand, right? So I'm going to say that I can't confidently back him. Plus 165. I'd love to. The styles make fights. I'd love Tim Elliott. But I can't confidently think that Tim Elliott. And the other thing with Davison Figueiredo is not only did Jared Brooks repeatedly take him down and Yusir Formiga repeatedly take him down, like the past there for Tim Elliott. The difference is that Brooks wrestles more like Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott scramble. Why does Tim Elliott complete 15 takedowns, 10 takedowns? Because you get up a lot. And Figueiredo showed against Jared Brooks that like he was good at getting up. When he was getting taken down against Formiga, not getting up. You know why? You don't get back up when you get taken down by Yusir Formiga. That was the major difference. If Tim Elliott does succeed in getting him down,
Like,
he's
he
gonna
could
get
score.
back
He
up.
could break the slate.
He's going to get back up. When he gets back up, that's when he's going to punish him. And again, going back to Tim Elliott, like once he got that fight with DJ, which is a great fight, he beats Smolka. Thrilling fight. Broke the DK slate with that Smolka fight. But it was just a perfect matchup against Smolka, who can't wrestle whatsoever. The Ben to win fight, he gets choked out in the first round. The Mark De La Rosa fight, he gets a second round submission. That was December 2017. It's nearly 2 full years ago. So now he's 32. Now he's been in Thailand the last year partying. Now he's coming back, and suddenly we're going to get the best version of him. Versus Figueiredo, when they said, this is why you know Figueiredo is legit. When they said, we're closing down the 25 division, everyone was like, fair enough. But yo, don't cut Davison Figueiredo. He was literally the only guy anybody gave a shit about.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he can fight at 35. At least let him try to fight at 35. This guy's legit. And you put him at a good weight class where he at 25, he's got that size. He'll shuck off some of these takedowns. He'll get back up when he does get taken down. I think he does enough for the decision. I'd love to chase the dog here, but on a card full of question marks, he perhaps may have the most of them.
We have Marlon Vera taking on Andre Ewell. Marlon Vera minus 170, and he's 9,100 on DraftKings. Andre Ewell is plus 150 and 7,100. Any interest in this fight?
Yeah, I got interest in Marlon Vera. I feel like Vera, again, there's always spots in all of his fights where he's making mistakes. He's either getting tagged, stand up, or whatever the case may be. He's getting taken down, but he's an improving fighter. He's young. He's had a lot of adversity in his personal life with his daughter and all these different things, but I feel like Vera's coming along decently enough. He's been spending a lot of time working on his wrestling, specifically his ground game. You see that he's getting it done no matter how. Like the Wuji Buren fight, body shot, nice body shot, puts him down. Luke doesn't have a great first round, but his striking's coming around. The Guido Canetti fight, dude, he loses the first round to Guido Canetti. What is going on here? Comes along the second round, gets that second round submission by rear naked choke. The Frankie Saenz fight, he knocks out Frankie Saenz in the first round, decent. The fight with Nohelin Hernandez, he chokes him out the second round after overcoming a bit of adversity. He's a potent finisher. He finds ways to win. He keeps coming at you. And I feel like Ewell's the complete opposite. He starts out good. He has a good first round. He sort of fades along as time goes by. His takedown defense, not very good. Been taken down in all of his fights in the UFC, namely that big win that he had over Renan Barão a few years back, taken down 3 times against Renan Barão in that fight. Subsequently, he's taken down and submitted by Nathaniel Wood. Subsequently, he gives up 3 takedowns against Anderson Dos Santos. In the Anderson Dos Santos fight, he wins the first 2 rounds clean. In the third round, he's tired. He's tired, he gets taken down. At the end of the second round, actually, he gets tired and he gets taken down. But he did enough to steal the second. He wins 1 and 2, loses the third, no big deal, wins a 29-28. That's not going to be here against Vera. If he wins the first round, which he might, he's a long, rangy southpaw. Maybe he does enough to touch him up and win the first round. In the second and third round, once Marlon Vera gets away from that flashy striking and gets down to his bread and butter, he's going to get him down. Once he gets him down, he should be able to submit him. Also, TJ Dillashaw is suspended, but like he's in the gym hard every day. They're still at that RVCA gym. Jason Perillo is his head coach, is Marlon Vera's head coach. And we're working well with TJ, been working a lot with Juan Archuleta, who just fought in Bellator this past weekend, and BJ Penn's there for whatever reason. But like, I feel like we're gonna get
It's better that than Hawaiian bar scene, I guess.
He looks rough too, man. Oof, he looks rough.
He
but at least he's not in Hawaii getting into bar fights, at the very least.
Yes.
I don't know how BJ's presence will help Marlon Vera, but that aside, I just mean like I feel like he's in a good spot, training at a good level. He should be able to go and put the victory together. So I'm gonna go with Marlon Vera. Looking on the 170, I think that's a fairly good price tag. He blows fights himself. He always makes you sweat it. He always makes you stress it. He never has a clean performance. But ultimately, he's on a 4-fight winning streak for a reason. He's been able to get the job done. 4 straight finishes. Means I like him on DK as well. So even though Ewell is actually kind of durable, I feel like Vera will either find a way to do it or just rack up a lot of points in the meantime.
I don't know if I want to pay up to him, but...
Well, I don't have the DK pricing, but the minus
9,100 on DraftKings seems a little bit
he's
pricey
only minus
to me.
170.
I know. It's just like there's a couple big favorites, and then everyone else is kind of smashed in. His pricing is just kind of unfortunate, right? There's just better values.
He'd be lower ownership than the other guys, but 100%. I completely hear you.
Yeah, we got Miguel BAEZA taking on Hector Aldana. BAEZA minus 210 and 9,400 on DraftKings. Hector Aldana is plus 175 and 6,800. BAEZA coming off of Dana White's Contender Series. There was like everybody on the card that night that like got one. I think he was like 4 of the 5 guys got a spot.
Yeah,
and he was like probably the least impressive. He's super young, green, decent all around. Goes to his grappling, but I think they've set him up appropriately. I don't think I'd be rushing to try to line him up at 9,400 on DraftKings, though. That's a little bit too steep. Hector Aldana, I've faded this guy every step of the way, and I wouldn't stop now. I don't think I'm gonna bet the minus 210 because I don't think that I think it's probably priced about right now for what we really know about this kid, but he's definitely the better overall talent. What's your take here?
Yeah, no, I think he's the better overall talent. I think he should get the victory. One thing is that he's super green. When you look at him in the Contender Series fight, he drops that Victor Reina in the first round, like hard. Drops him hard with the right hand. Can't put him away. Takes his back. Even though he's got this guy dazed and he's on his back for 2.5 minutes. Can't choke him out. Fine. Second round, Paul, he gets outworked. He just doesn't do anything. The guy that he's almost got finished in the first round, Victor Reina, is now outworking him. But then he floors him at the end of the second round, and that seals the round for him.
Yep.
And then the third round's the same shit. Like, he does not look good. He's not throwing anything. And then he might land a couple clinch knees, one to the body, hurts Reina again, puts him down. He's not able to put Reina away. Now, Reina missed weight by 8 pounds or something egregious. Came in at like 178. So I suppose you could make a little bit of an excuse for him. In his career, he's got 2 fights that have gone to decision. The rest of them, first round knockouts. He's got big power in the right hand. He just doesn't set it up great. And his cardio looks okay. But again, there's moments in there where there's like a lapse. Like he's just not doing anything. Maybe he's trying to figure out what his opponent's going to do. That makes me a little bit worried. Is this guy going to pursue the finish the whole way? Because Hector Aldana, you can knock him out in the first round. But again, if you don't, he's not a complete joke. Like, he's lost all of his UFC fights. He has not looked tremendous by no means. But like, he's not a complete putz. Like, you at least got to do something to him. Don't allow him to just sit there and box with you, which is kind of what Laureano Staropoli did the last time out. But Hector Aldana has got a job to do. And he does a mighty fine, damn good job of doing it, Paul. Okay? We got the nice Chinese prospect. And we're in Singapore. We want to promote this nice Chinese prospect. Who are we going to send all the way to Singapore to get fucked up by the half-local guy?
Hector.
We're going to send Hector Aldana. We're going to Argentina. We need someone to get fucked up by the local
This
Argentinian
guy looks pretty
guy.
green on tape. Not sure
Dude,
what level
so
he is.
green on tape. Shouldn't be in the UFC.
No,
But-
he's
but-
improved since then.
You're right. You're right. Actually coming off a decent win.
Yep.
You know, but we want to get a local
Laureano
pop.
Staropoli.
Yeah, we want to get the local pop from the Argentinian guys. Like, who's someone we can send all the way to Argentina to get beat up by the
Hector
local guy?
will do
Hector
it.
Well, now we're in Tampa.
He's a
Now
real
we're in
company guy.
Yeah,
Hector.
now we're in Tampa, and I get Tampa's not Miami, but BAEZA is by all stretch here. He's the local guy.
Yeah.
His guys are going to be in attendance. He's got training partners on the card. He's going to have friends and family. Hector Aldana is now going to his backyard to do a job that he's done many of times. It's a very high price on DK. That I don't love. The money line, definitely not bad. The DK price is high, but again, if he's going to be lower ownership compared to the other guys, he does have a shot at getting this out in the first round. If you play multiple lineups, again, maybe have some exposure to him in some spots. And if the mid-range guys are so good that you're able to save some money and you have some money left over, you know, I guess he does have at least some upside. I do like that he's had a little bit of time off between fights to hopefully make some improvements, hopefully fill out, but that remains to be seen.
This next one was supposed to happen like 3 weeks ago in Vancouver. Marvin Vettori takes on Andrew Sanchez. Andrew Sanchez had to pull out with an eye infection, and then they rebooked it pretty much immediately onto this card. So I guess that's cleared up for him. Marvin Vettori's minus 280, 9,500 on DraftKings. Andrew Sanchez, cheapest guy on DraftKings at 6,700 plus 240. I know some people out there were pretty high on Sanchez as just being a really, really cheap punt play of somebody who's going to go out there looking for takedowns. I just think, and we broke it down the last time that we were on the show, when this fight was pulled after our recording, that, you know, Vettori, he's young Italian guy who just kind of seems to be probably the most talented, promising Italian prospect, which isn't saying all that much, but like, who else
Luis
is there?
Pena's Italian.
Well, I mean, actually Italian.
yeah,
There's Vittori, and then there's what?
Really
Alessio
Italian.
or
He is not the most
Chirico?
promising Italian prospect.
No, exactly.
Let's move on from that talk.
So it's Marvin Vettori who went to decision against Israel Adesanya.
Split?
Yeah.
Somebody thought he
Somebody
won.
thought he won, but like, you know, he's young. He's been making lots of improvements.
Yeah,
Trains out of a
agreed.
good gym. Like, I think we went over this the last time. I don't know if we actually ended up airing it though. Either way, I like Vettori to get the win. I can understand the argument for a cheap DK play, but you also have Tim Elliott on this card, so you don't necessarily have to do Sanchez, who has gas issues in the past.
Oof, does he ever?
You could probably just play Tim Elliott instead. Now you have an option rather than Sanchez on this card. So I would probably rather go to Tim Elliott if I was going to go with that strategy, because I can get a guy who has 175 point upside. So that kind of changes how these plays play into it just by the card that it ends up falling on.
Yeah, the last time we did break down this fight, I took Sanchez under the pretense that he is the better wrestler. He's got fantastic entries. The guy can enter. He's a 4-time All-American. Definitely knows how to wrestle. His entries to the takedown are phenomenal. The thing is that he seems to just work so goddamn hard in getting the entries, or once he gets a hold of your hips, or once he gets you to the ground, it's a lot of explosive athletic movements, and then sure enough, he gasses out almost every time. The 2 times he's been finished, both times in the 3rd round. In his last fight against Barrio, you get the sense he's basically clinging on for dear life.
So was I with my wager on him.
Of course. I was like, oh no. Now I pick him because this is the biggest thing. He was supposed to fight Dave Branch that last card. Dave Branch pulled out. Vettori was coming in on like a week or 2 notice. So is Vettori going to be able to shore up his wrestling quick enough when you know Sanchez is pretty much just going to wrestle? That's why we go Vettori. The greasy rumor on the street that I did not start is that he got that eye infection because he went ass to mouth. Now, where some people might say, that sounds crazy, the guy's nickname's El Dirte. Think about that, okay? So now they rebooked the fight like 3 weeks later. It's like, fuck. I tried to get out of it the first time. I can't fake an eye infection again. Now I got to fight the kid. And whereas Vettori definitely struggles in the wrestling department, the UFC's actually mashed him up. Well, quite a few grapplers outside of Izzy. So the Omari Akhmedov fight, he knows Akhmedov wants to take him down, even though Akhmedov pretty much just tried to bomb him the whole time. You see he's worked hard on his wrestling. Even the UFC commentary, they talk about the fact that all of his striking for that fight is striking going backwards because he'd been working heavily on bringing in good wrestlers. Fights Izzy, that don't matter. The fight with Cesar Ferreira, he worked with good wrestlers whole time. What does he do? He stuffs all the takedowns. He takes down Cesar Ferreira and works him over. I see the same thing here. I think Sanchez is going to maybe take him down the first round, but he's going to work his ass off. Damn no, he's going to work his ass off to get said takedowns. And when he starts to tire in 2 or 3, Vettori keeps the fight standing, outboxes him, and ends up winning a decision. Sanchez is, maybe he knocks him out in the third, but what you got to realize about Vettori is that he doesn't finish anybody. Like, his wins are by decision. So unless he clunks him with the knee straight up the middle or something like that, like he kind of did against Akhmedov, he didn't get a finish, but he got a draw out of it. Maybe he finishes him late by virtue of one guy gassing and one guy landing something. But I think for the most part, it's Vettori winning 2 of the 3, at the very least, 29-28, Marvin Vettori. That would be the way.
Yeah, 9,500 on DraftKings, probably an easy stay away. It's Sanchez or bust there for sure. And finally, at least in my opinion, watch Marvin Vettori first round knockout, 2 knockdowns. Now that I've said that, but this is
Sanchez is dynamite the first round. So I'm thinking second round knockout.
Yeah, MMA gonna MMA. All right, finally, your baby. We got there. 8,900 for JJ Aldrich. She takes on Laura Mueller, who's 7,300. Aldrich is minus 165, and Mueller can be had for plus 145. Take it away.
So Aldrich is a much better striker. She's much more refined. All of her punches are linear. She's way quicker. She's going to stay to the outside. Laura Mueller mostly just relies on bum rushing the pocket, and I think she'll get clipped up. She should just get outpointed. JJ Aldrich, not really known for her power. I don't know for sure that she'd be able to finish Laura Mueller. Laura Mueller also has got one hell of a chin on her. The path, if she's going to get a finish, like if you're going to play JJ Aldrich on DraftKings, which I wouldn't suggest, is that Laura Mueller is really weak to the body. Her UFC debut against Shayna Dobson, she eats a straight right to the body in the 3rd round that like damn near crumbles her up. In fact, you could fucking rewatch that fight and make an argument Shayna Dobson won that fight. Her next fight, she goes to China. She's winning the 1st round. Fight ends up hitting the ground. She gets armbarred, is what it is. Her last fight against Polyana Viana, again, she got crushed to the body, and it hurt her. JJ Aldrich fights, again, she's very linear, but she's got a nasty little body kick. I don't think it's crazy to think that maybe she can hurt her. But again, if you're looking at recent history, JJ Aldrich is all decision. Here's the 2 things that actually do make me at least a little bit nervous. I can't go full on JJ. One is that Aldrich is a 115er. 100% this girl's a 115-pound fighter. Why she'd be moving up to 125 pounds, just don't fully understand. So now she comes up to 125. They give her Macy Barber, who's huge for the weight class, is an up-and-coming prospect. All these great things about her. JJ wins that 1st round. She drops Macy Barber in the 1st round. She gets on top of Macy Barber and does a little bit of damage in the 1st round. She wins. But in the 2nd round, I mean, the size is apparent, and she ends up getting clipped with a knee, and as soon as she gets hit, she kind of freezes up against the cage, gets TKO'd, and there's a moment where she kind of just, like, crumples up against the cage once the fight stopped, sitting there. There's a look on her face, just like, I got overwhelmed. Kind of like, what happened? I got overwhelmed. A bigger fighter is going to do that to her. If she takes on these bigger grapplers, and she has, remember she fought, I think, Tatiana Suarez on Tough? They're bigger, they're stronger, they're going to overwhelm her. Laura Mueller is just not a good enough wrestler or a grappler to physically break her in such a way. So even though she's the natural 125er, I guess, she's fought more times at the weight class, I don't think she's going to have that physicality to break JJ Aldrich. The second thing is that Laura Mueller is big on that Alliance MMA team. Alliance MMA's got probably one of the best female fight teams. I mean, they got Kat Zingano's on the team, they got Angela Hill on the team, they got Laura Mueller, they used to have Beck Rawlings a long time ago. They got a good little female program together, right? You know this girl's making improvements. You know she's getting better. But they take her to Mexico City because Angela Hill is on that Mexico City card with Jeremy Stevens. They rent a house in Mexico City for like 6 weeks. Laura Mueller acts as like the chief training partner for Angela Hill that entire time. So now the camp finishes and they come back to San Diego, finish off Mueller's camp, and now they're in Tampa for this card. Angela Hill's with her. That's why they're talking about Angela Hill stepping in, because she's there with Mueller. She's pretty much on weight anyways. She just fought. But Mueller's had an extended camp and a good camp. She's bigger. She's a brawler. But if she does crash the pocket over and over and try to clinch up and do all those things, Eric Del Fiero and company
she can
will
win a
have
greasy
her.
fight.
Yes, she can win an ugly-ass fight. That she's capable of. So I think the smart play, coming off cards with like Betch Kohea pulls out the win and Macy Chason somehow shits the bed, and you know how I mean? I would say your best path is here. Steer motherfucking clear. Yes, I like JJ. Yes, I think JJ wins this fight, but like Mueller could show us something that we haven't seen. Her fights are gapped out in such a way that she's making decent improvements all throughout, and I do expect her to at least show us a better version because she did not look good in her last fight. She will look slightly better against a smaller Aldrich. Maybe she can make it happen.
Yeah, I'm avoiding that fight like
But
the
when
plague,
when I break
basically.
it down for you here real quick,
As you
I
broke that down.
would take JJ. So essentially, as you figured out by this point, I pretty much have every favorite. We're gonna go against JCheck. We're gonna go with Crone Gracie, Mike Davis, Mackenzie Dern, Luis Pena, Eric Anders, Nico Price. I'm gonna take Devin. I do this every week, eh? I do this every week. I'm gonna take Devin Clark. I need a dog. I'll take Devin Clark, but you should pass
We'll
on
talk
that.
about
I'll take
one
Griffin.
thing that you do
I'll take Griffin,
the end here.
Figueiredo, Marlon Vera, Miguel Baeza.
Sorry, it was from
Marvin
Clark down.
Vettori.
Say that again.
Literally, he's the only take every single favorite except for Devin Clark. Wow, that's embarrassing. What bad analysis by me. Hopefully, every favorite wins except for Ryan Spann.
We have a one last quick bone to pick with you.
Yes.
You did it last week. You did it the week before. Sukumantath and Nadia Qasim. It's just like, man, you can't. There's people who are on do not playlists.
Yeah.
I usually bring them up. Catch a Beating is on that list. Nadia Qasim, Sukumantath. You can't bet on these people. They're not They're not trustworthy for you. Qasim had no chance in that fight. She was completely out of her
You know what
league.
actually saved me there? Because I wasn't going to play her anyways. It just, hey, as a small punt or as a small, you put her on $1 parlay or something like that. But it was the weigh-ins. And this is why watching the weigh-ins is very important. 2 fighters missed weight for that fight, for that card. They both actually did end up winning. Taha missed weight by 1 pound, 2 pounds. 2 pounds, but he come in, 127.
Yeah.
1 pound he missed weight by.
Which
right?
means that he was like grinding till the last second.
He looked sickly.
Of course.
He won the first round. He lost the second round. Could have looked like a good live bet situation, but he pulled it together in the third. He got the win. Right. Kim missed weight by 2 pounds or 1 pound more than Taha. She did not look zapped at all. It didn't even, it looked like she was basically like, it's going to start getting tough now, so let's just bail out. So that's why you got to watch. When I saw that, I said, geez, Kim's, even though it's only 2 pounds, she was way bigger than Qasim at the weigh-ins. She did not look zapped at the weigh-ins whatsoever. She is the better striker.
You're missing the point, man.
Don't bet on those.
You're betting on
Okay,
these people. I warned you about. You
So
can't
you're
bet
saying-
on these people who have zero game plan. Have showed you not to trust them. That's all. I don't
got a
want to
bone-
hear all of your
I got
excuses,
a bone
all
to
these
pick with
other
you, then. I got a
things
bone to pick
about
with you,
it.
Paul.
Yeah,
I got a
what's
bone to pick with you. You used to be my guy, my co-host. We're in this together, okay? You used to tell me this is the worst fighter in the UFC. And you weren't wrong.
The level-
You nailed, no, let me finish. You nailed many of worst fighters in the UFC. And in recent years, you've cowered away from it. You should have told me Hector Aldana is the worst fighter in the UFC. You should have told me Nadia Qasim was the worst fighter in the UFC. No, you wait until Saturday so I can figure it out by myself. Thanks,
I told
Paul.
you on the
Thanks a
show.
lot,
Don't bet
man.
on Nadia Qasim. That's a terrible
Thanks
idea.
a lot, Paul.
All I'm gonna say is the level of competition at the UFC level has lowered so much recently that we're in a situation where it's hard for me to single people out. That's why I want to see Qasim versus Catch a Beating. Make it happen. I need to know so I can flat out say who is the worst women's strawweight in the UFC.
Instead of the BMF title, it'll be the WFE title. Worst fighter ever.
I need to know. I need to know. Anyway, that wraps it up for us this week. Thank you to Cody Saftic breaking down the fights with me as always. Thank you to Pat Mayo, actually switching behind the scenes there. For both those guys, I'm Paul Shaughnessy saying goodbye and good luck.
Mayo experience! Experience!